This is verse 23 of the second chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. We have the conclusion of the narrative concerning Joseph, who's had the family, Mary and the baby Jesus, now a young child, of course, there in Egypt, probably Alexandria. He's now been instructed to bring them back to Israel, and he's on his way. Of course, is concerned about winding up back in Judah because Archelaus is reigning, who's known to be equally brutal to his father, and so he goes north into Galilee, and then the conclusion of the matter is given to us here. So Kai, the connective, aelthon, this is a aorist participle, denoting time preceding the time of the leading verb. It's from erchomai, I come, so having come. It's in the nominative, because it's referring to the subject, which is at this point Joseph. So having come, then the principal verb here, katokesen. This is from katoi kao, contract verb, made up of kata, which means down, and oikos, which means a house, so literally to house down, and that gives rise to the notion of to dwell somewhere on a fairly permanent basis. So having come, he settled, we might put it. Ace, preposition, takes the accusative, so the accusative polin, settled into a city, and then also in the accusative, the participle, which serves to modify the term city. So it's legomenein, so into the city being called. It's the idea, present passive participle, feminine, singular accusative, so the city being called, and then Nazareth, Nazareth, of course, the city that he settles in, a city not mentioned in the Old Testament, not even mentioned by Josephus, a fairly obscure little town at the time. A few hundred people dwelt there. And then Matthew says hopos. This is a conjunction. It means so that, or in general so that. It's not quite as strong or pointed as the hina with the subjunctive, which might have been used and would refer to a more specific Old Testament prophecy, but this is a little more general and is thus referring to a more generalized impression from the Old Testament prophets, plural, you see here, rather than a particular prophetic utterance. So we have, he came and settled down in Nazareth, to the general effect that plerothe, from plerao, it means to bring to fulfillment. This is the third person singular aorist passive subjunctive, so that it might be fulfilled. To, this is the nominative article. Rthen, this is from reo, means to speak. The word rhema, of course, is related to this word. This is a participle. It's a verbal form. It's an aorist passive participle. Again, neuter, singular nominative, so it might be fulfilled. The neuter nominative here is then being modified by tohrethen, the having been spoken. So thus it was fulfilled, the having been spoken, dia. Preposition takes the genitive plural through, tone, the plural genitive, masculine prophetone. Through the prophets, again, notice it's the prophets, plural. And once again, it gives the idea of a general impression from the prophets rather than a specific prophetic statement. Hoti means that, in this case. Nazarios, Nazarene, referring to the Old Testament notion of the Nazarite vow, I suppose, but maybe even more specifically, this is a word related to a Old Testament Hebrew term that means a branch, which of course is applied to Jesus, Isaiah chapter 11, and elsewhere we have that. So he shall be called a branch, may be the general sense of it, a Nazarene in that sense. Klethesetai, from kaleo, means to call. This is the future passive indicative, third person singular. He shall be called a branch or a Nazarite or a Nazarene, and the fact that, Joseph winds up in the city of Nazareth seems to have some correlation to that. And we don't have any sense that Joseph was specifically choosing the city for that reason. There's some evidence elsewhere that it had been his home at an earlier time. and that may be why he decided to resort to that city at that time.